Welcome to this review of the General Household Survey Questionnaire, as it will be used in the National Dietary Intake Survey 2022. Before we start with the questionnaire and its outline, couple of points to clarify. Firstly, the primary respondent for the national survey is an adult aged 18 to 59. So should you arrive at a household, according to your interval sampling, where there is no adult in that age bracket available, that would then be recorded as a non-qualifying household. Or if there's nobody, everybody might be at work, it would be code 5, as you can see on the right hand side on your questionnaire, and you will be recording that. We would like to record all your actions and track how many visits we had to make in order to achieve our target number of questionnaires. So therefore, you will be recording every single attempt to do an interview using your interval sampling strategy, which we clarified is every 6 household as per the sampling video. So when you get to a household, there's nobody home, no qualifying participants, or no consent, you will record that information together with the province, the EA number, some identifying information about the household, whether that's the address or whatever other identifying numbers there might be, and then the GPS coordinates. Then you will move on to the next household. And remember, according to your selection guidelines, we will follow immediate replacement to the right or to the left, depending on what your interviewer number within your team is, and you will continue that immediate replacement, the next door neighbor, moving in the right direction until you find a household that will be consenting. Once you've completed that interview, you will then resume your interval sampling again, go to the next 6 household from there, and start the process of recording all over again. Another point about households is that nowadays it's quite common that we find more than one household living on a plot or a site. Now, that plot could be, the traditional plot with a backyard dwelling in the back, or it could even be within a flat that different households might be sharing different rooms in the flat. Each one of them will count as a household. The primary household will be the leaseholder, and the sub-renting households will then be the secondary households. Okay, so if you get to a particular site, and there are 2 households at that site, who do you choose to include in the survey? If the number of your household, according to your record-keeping system on the tablet, is an uneven number, you will approach the primary dwelling as your responding household. If the number of the household is even, like the 2nd, the 4th, the 6th, or the 8th household, you will approach the secondary household to be included in the survey. And then you will, after that, decide where you will go next, depending on whether they agree or didn't agree, and you may then move on to find another household that will consent. If we move on to the questionnaire structure, we will be conducting interviews in a household, even if there is only one respondent. And remember, our primary respondent for the national survey is an adult aged 18 to 59 years. Should there, however, be children in the household or an elderly, we will record the information on those individuals, and we will then try to include them in the survey. Should, for the children, the parents or the guardian be available to provide consent, and with the elderly, should they be of a mental capability to participate in the survey. What information will we be collecting from each of these respondents? First of all, we will complete a complete household composition for that household. So even if they are not there, but if they usually live in the household, we will be obtaining that information, and we will collect personal information and some resource information on all of the members. Information such as marital status, health status, and migration will only be collected for the selected members. And remember, I've said that the selected member will always be the one adult that's been selected for this household, and then if present and consenting is possible, then an elderly, an infant, or a young child under the age of 5 will also be included. Other information that we will collect on the household will be on the dwelling and services of the household itself, food security of the household, and then drivers of food choice. What data will we be collecting for all household members? That will include age, sex, and I'm referring here to biological sex, so that would be either male or female. We will record population grouping, as is the practice in South Africa. We will be collecting information on sources of income, education completed for that particular individual, employment, but note that the tablet will be set up so that if a person is younger than 16 years old, the employment question will not appear for that individual, because according to labor law, children younger than the age of 16 may not be employed. We will also record current engagement in schooling or training, any welfare grants being received by the individual, and then the overall income bracket for the household. With the welfare grant, just be careful and make sure that the income from the grant enters this household and isn't going to another household. Sometimes you may find when a young child is staying with a grandmother that the child support grant is received by the mother who might be living in another venue, and that the young child and the grandmother is not having access to the child support grant but living off, for example, an old age grant. So be careful that you record such information in the right place. What data will we collect for selected household members? So those are the household members included in the survey, for whom we will also do anthropometric assessments and dietary intake assessments. For them, we will record information on their marital status, their health status, and their migration. What data will we collect for the household dwelling and services? It will include observational information on the structure of the household. Then we will ask questions about water supply, sanitation, refuse removal, and electricity. For each of these services, there will be follow-on questions to identify whether the household qualifies as an indigent household and whether they registered as indigent. We will record the source and the type of service, and then record an estimation of the quality of the supply or the service for each one of them. What data will we collect on food security? There will be 2 food security scales included. The first one is the Food Insecurity Experience Scale, or FIES, which is the internationally used food insecurity scale for different countries on the SGD monitoring. The Food Insecurity Experience Scale consists of 9 questions, and the period of reference is always 12 months. So during the past 12 months, or basically the last year, and then follows the questions. The questions deals with whether households worry about not having access to food, whether they eat healthy, whether they have a limited number or kinds of food to eat, whether they skip meals, whether they eat less than what they think they should, whether there's no money in the household to buy food, and then whether they're experiencing hunger or went for 24 hours without food. And for the latter 2 questions, there will also be a follow-up to assess the temporality of hunger and 24 hours without food. That will be followed by a household food insecurity access scale. The difference is that the reference period for the HFIAS is 30 days or the past 4 weeks. It consists of 8 questions, each with a follow-up question to determine how often an event occurred in the past 4 weeks, should the respondent have responded positively to the question in the first place. And then there will also be questions on the adequacy of food supply, how much they are spending on food, and any potential social shocks that they experienced in the recent past. Thank you very much for listening. That is the information on the general household questionnaire. Please leave a comment on YouTube when you have viewed the video. Please read the training manual, because the training manual will go in detail into each one of the questions, and then you will be practicing with the tablets during face-to-face training. However, I would like to request that you familiarize yourself thoroughly with the questions contained in the General Household Survey before you arrive for the face-to-face training. Thank you very much.